Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. In this video, I'm going to talk about what are the different capabilities of Microsoft 365 E5 plan from security and compliance point of view, right? And those are very important to know and understand before maybe we are planning for the same capabilities, whether we are planning for licenses or what we are trying to do, right? So there are different use cases, different requirements that we can use and do with it, right? And that is why I'm going to give you a brief about all those security and compliance features and capabilities and how those can help on different use cases. It is not only specific one use case, but definitely there are many different ones, right? So let's go ahead and start. I'm going to share a PPT presentation and I'm going to walk you through on each of those one by one. And then you will know on each of the features and usage of it, right? So let's go ahead and do that. Just a minute. Let me open it up here quickly. All right. So it should be here. All right. So perfect. So this is the presentation, right? And I'm going to walk you through about all the E5 license modules for security and compliance perspective, right? So the first is Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, right? So this is a part of E5 license plan and which really helps us to deploy it across the organization for the endpoints as in those endpoints which are devices, right? And those devices which are managed by Microsoft Intune and with the Entra ID in conjunction with both each other. So here's a short description which says provides advanced threat protection for endpoints specially, and then it gives the capability for us to manage it appropriately and everything together. And the examples are it helps us in detecting and responding to the threats on devices. Also, it provides us the vulnerability management and offers endpoint detections and response capabilities as well, right? So this way, it is going to help us to mitigate risk, identify the vulnerabilities, and then also it provides us detection and response capabilities, which is called as EDR, right? So if you don't have this plan, then you need to either buy additional plan as a standalone plan, and then that would be used for these capabilities or these requirements, right? So this is the one of the capability of E5 license, right? And let's look at the next one. Next is Defender for Identity. What is it? So Defender for Identity is going to be the capability which helps us and it provides us to protect the on-premises Active Directory identity-based attacks, right? And it is going to be helping us to identify and then mitigate those as well. So it has advanced targeting attacks capabilities, right? And then it identifies suspicious activities, then compromised identities, and malicious insider actions. So it is going to do all of that in the one go or in the one plan or one action for us. And then we would be able to identify it and then we can go ahead and uh, take the appropriate actions, right? If that identities are compromised, then we can take the actions. It also gives the suspicious activities of each identity so that we can go ahead and take the actions on those identities, how those identities should be, what things we can do it, right? And this way it is going to be helpful with on-premises Active Directory, right? Let's look at next. Next is Defender for Office 365, right? So what is it? So it is going to safeguard for the organizations or the whole organizations against the malicious threats, which are uh, posed for security reasons or posed for security for email messages and links and different tools across the Microsoft 365 ecosystem, right? And it is going to really be helpful for the collaboration tools as well, be it Teams, SharePoint, OneDrive, Exchange Online, and it is going to take the appropriate actions based on the policies that we are going to create and configure, which includes the anti-spam, anti-malware, uh, anti-phishing, right? And then safe links and safe attachments. So those are the policies that we can create and configure and make tweaks and tricks, as well as also we need to make the balance between uh, strict or aggressive policies, and then decide what should be the appropriate one and what should work appropriately for us. The example which protects against the phishing, malware, and business email compromise for whole organization and for whole business. It is not specific to one entity or one applications or one service across. It is going to help us across the organizations to uh, protect and help us to mitigate those risks as well. Next is Microsoft Cloud App Security, right? So what is this capability? Is going to be provide visibility and control over data travel, as well as sophisticated access levels, right? So what is mean? Sophisticated analytics to identify and combat cyber threats across the cloud resources and services that we have used or we are using, right? So it is really going to help us to identify, monitor, and control the data within the cloud apps, detect unusual behaviors, and we can enforce the policies. Another example of this is going to be whether we wanted to let people use any data, any resources from different locations where or we don't want to let user access any data from any other resources apart from the business, the company or the organization has business with, right? So this way we would be able to identify and take the appropriate actions on data access liability. The next is active Azure Active Directory Premium P2 plan, right? This is also called as Entra ID P2 plan, right? It offers advanced identity protection and privileged identity management capabilities for us, right? And at the same time, those are the capabilities which are highly privileged, which provides a lot of other requirements or other capabilities that we can use with multi-factor authentication, conditional access, identity governance, right? And we can set up all of that together, and then that can be used appropriately for identity management, how people can access identities, what actions we should take appropriately when identities are used or compromised, and how we can enforce the conditional access policies on different devices, applications, and systems, and how people can access that one. So this is the really great capability as well. Let's go ahead and look at next. So next is information protection. So what it is going to help us in discover and classify, as well as protect and govern the sensitive information across the organization, which is going to live and travel across the organization as well as outside the organization as well, right? It applies the labels to the documents, and it also encrypts the emails, sensitive data, and the data overall across the organization. And it also gives the capability for us to monitor the access levels so that we can take the appropriate actions during and after the data residing in the organization, as well as data residing outside or moving outside the organization as well. So this way, we would be able to see as well as monitor what is happening and what is required, right? And how we can modify or tweak or change the policies accordingly, and then take the appropriate actions. Let's look at the next one, which is Microsoft Information Governance, right? So what is it? So it is going to help us in managing the life cycle of the data, ensuring compliance and regulations and the policies across the organization, right? And at the same time, we can decide and define the different requirements and policies based on the organization compliance and requirements, be it compliance requirement, regulation requirement, right? And this way we can either retain the data, delete the data, manage the records as in all the data from compliance and regulatory requirement purposes, right? And this way we can go ahead and take the appropriate actions for the data management. It also helps us in identify and manage our licensing stack. Then at the one point where we would be able to make a decisions on licensing and costing and all other things around the all of that capability as well. So this is the one of that one. Next is insider risk management, right? So what is it? It helps us to detect, investigate, and take actions on risky activities across the organizations. So now this is going to be something where we would be able to identify the potential uh, insider risk or insider users who are going to or try to find or maybe try to share any confidential details across or outside the organization, and we can detect that, investigate, and take appropriate actions basis on that those activities that we are going to identify. Or insider risk management is going to do that for us, and then we would be able to identify it, and then we can push through so that people can simply uh, be notified that whatever the actions that they are doing, it is not good activity, right? And also we wanted to make the culture of the responsibility. They shouldn't do any unwanted things across the organization, and they should really be responsible and understand its risk and requirements, right? And this way, there should be something we would be able to achieve it, right? And it also helps in identifying potential insider as well as monitoring the user activities and providing the alert for risky behaviors for us. So this way we can identify and check the who is doing what activities, and basis on the user activities, basis on the people who are sharing files and data internally, externally, and then it is going to simply help us to take the appropriate actions and to protect the data as well. Let's look at this one, eDiscovery and audit. This is going to provide us, or this is the tool which provides us to identify, hold, and manage data relevant to the legal cases and investigation purposes, right? So this way we would be able to search the content across Microsoft 365 and place holds on the data, as well as we can export the data for legal reviews or legal purposes. And then this is going to help us to identify those data sets, or the data is going to be remain there within the Microsoft 365 ecosystem, but there are different use cases like to extract the data for legal cases as well as investigation purpose, and that data can be leveraged and used for such requirements too, right? So next is Compliance Manager, which helps us to manage compliance requirements as well as comprehensive set of tools. So what it means is that, as we have seen in the previous slide, which is legal cases as well as investigations requirements, where we would be able to extract the data and provide that data for compliance and legal requirements purpose. And then to manage the same capabilities, we have Compliance Manager, which provides the compliance score, recommendation actions to improve on compliance score, as well as tracks the regulatory requirements, which we need to be really be compliant so that we can achieve the compliance as well as org-wide goals for compliance, as well as improving the security, as well as improving the org-wide or complete whole organization's compliance scores, right? And this is going to be really helpful for us and overall the whole organizations to be sure to they are in compliant and they don't have to fall into any of the unwanted situations, right? Right. So yeah, so this is the last slide here. We have gone through it, and yeah, so this was the last slide, and yeah, that's all for this video. And hope you will like it. Please do like, share, and subscribe. Also, don't forget to watch other videos around Microsoft 365, Azure, and FinOps, right? And yeah, that's all for this video. Please do like, share, and subscribe, and don't forget to share this with your friends, colleagues, and whoever needs to see and watch. And yep, that's all. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.